All right, everyone. Another day, more sexual abuse allegations. Like I said on Twitter, you've got all these other perverts, and they'll be joined by someone, I'm sure, in the next 48 hours. Well, actually, it's two people. We've got Charlie Rose, and then we've got John Conyers. We've also got a second claimant in the Al Franken case. You've got enough significance there with these that I have to make two fucking videos on these topics in the same day. I can't even talk about anything else. Like, I'm going to be hard-pressed because, Thanksgiving prep and everything. It's going to be difficult just to make the fifth Theogen video for later, the VidMe exclusive. And I'm going to try. I'm going to try to get to everything else. So it's very sunny, so that warms this room up like a hot box. So the first slew here, John Conyers. Fairly powerful Democrat, not necessarily on the Al Franken level, maybe nearly so, but not 100%. He's a representative, not a senator. It turns out that back in 2015, he settled a suit by one of his staffers that was saying, oh yeah, I got fired actually by him when I didn't succumb to his sexual advances. He was harassing me and trying to grope me up and stuff. He would be in the second circle of hell. There was an attempt at coercion, but he didn't rape anyone, and it was an adult, so that's second level of hell sort of stuff. He did that for some time, and then I guess he got bored with the the pursuing of this individual. He said, okay, bye-bye, I'm firing you. And it was related to that, allegedly, to the fact that she didn't, want to sleep with him, I guess, or, suck him off. Which is, isn't he an older dude? I think he's in his 60s, so, maybe he should calm down a little bit. But, yeah, and so he settled this. He actually gave her money. Now, when a settlement like that is made, usually it's an indicator that there was some substance involved within the claims. In a legal sense, legally you can't argue that. You can't go into court and say, oh, but the claimant got a settlement on this case, which means that there's veracity, we should reinvestigate. You can't actually do that. But in the court of public opinion, it's sort of like taking the fifth, so as not to incriminate yourself. You can't be compelled to give the testimony, but you're basically admitting, yeah, if I did give testimony, chances are pretty damn high I'd be in a cell or I'd be sued or something. So you're trying to avoid that fact. That's one of those paradoxical situations in which you've sort of screwed yourself in terms of public opinion by unscrewing yourself in the legal sense by sort of cutting the head off the snake. You've got someone who's wealthy. Typically, the person making the claim, they're going to take the settlement because they're like, yeah, if it were third level of hell stuff, it'd be harder. But for somebody who ultimately is she going to be able to prove 100%? She might be able to achieve the civil threshold and win a case there. Criminal threshold would be totally different. It's different. The threshold. Personally, I don't think it should be different, but unfortunately in our system, it is. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. And so he settles the case, gives her several tens of thousands of dollars. To the average person, that's going to indicate, hey, it's hush money. That means that the claim is true. With Al Franken, then, second story, we have a second woman who has come forward now and said, oh, yeah, he was trying to grab my butt, making sexual jokes to me and stuff. At the same time, though, you have all of his female friends from SNL trying to form ranks and shield him from getting kicked out of Congress, getting, relieved of his post. I don't know that it's going to work, though, because the problem is that attempted defense comes at the same exact time as a second claimant, which means that they're booing each other in the news. Unless you are... the problem for the left is this. Now, I've seen, headlines recently. Oh, the Republicans are risking becoming the sexual harassment party over Judge Roy Moore. Nobody's even talking about fucking Judge Roy Moore at this point. They're talking about sex abuse allegations in totality. The problem for the left is this. For a very, very long time, they've cast themselves off as, we're the party that wants to protect victims and the little people who are, they might get raped or abused or something by someone who's rich or powerful. We're the party of women's rights. We're the party of reproductive rights. We're the party of, you should be able to defend yourself in court. Not with a gun, but you should be able to defend yourself in court, basically. The problem for them is that they're not capable of actually defending any of these individuals effectively. Because when they do, it's like Lena Dunham comes out and has her spiel. She's now called a hipster racist. You've seen that. None of these social activists that carry the social media side of the left, especially the younger left, can actually adequately weigh in. The only thing that they can say is, You know, they can do a cop-out sort of thing, like a Geraldo thing, and say, well, this person's my friend, so I'm not going to weigh in, basically. Oh, no, I knew Harvey. Yeah, he's kind of weird. I don't want to talk anything further. He needs to address his own shit, basically. No, George Takei, I'm not going to talk about George Takei. You know, yeah, we were constantly hanging out, but that's a personal thing. This is, you know, different. I don't want to be part of it. Don't ask me. Ask somebody else. They avoid one another. They're not even bothering to defend. It's like with Gillibrand, who is maneuvering, I think, politically. She refuses to defend Al Franken. She won't come out straight out and be, you know, brave and say what she really wants to say, which is, yeah, fuck Al Franken, basically, and stab him in the back. She knows that would look bad. Would look bad within the political context of the Democratic Party. She's apparently trying to usurp. But she's not going to defend him. She's not crazy. She knows even though she's female, it's not going to be helpful. Like these people at SNL, what'll end up happening is the people who are most vocal about believe the victim, women's rights, don't harass people, you know, much trigger warnings and stuff. The people who tend to be most vocal about that will attack any leftist, regardless of their race, creed, or gender, if they actually attempt to defend somebody who has been merely alleged to have been sexually abusive in some way. Now again, as always, I've had some people, they're like, well, no, we know Al Franken did this. We know that Weinstein's a pervert and stuff. I'm still going to use the term alleged, and I'll tell you why. I have no doubt that at least some of these individuals are actually totally perverted. But I can't 100% tell you which ones. Other than Franken, where you have a picture, he disputes it, but it's kind of like, come on, Al. Nobody in the fucking world is going to believe you. Even your own colleagues are going to turn their back on you. Just resign. Don't force them to remove you from your post in the Senate. Do not force them to write a strong letter about how shitty you are, because that's what they're going to be compelled to do, especially now that you have two different allegations. I still fundamentally believe that they should be considered innocent until proven guilty. The problem with sexual allegations of this sort is that the immediate reaction that people have is emotional. It's a gut reaction. It's, well, you know, we must defend this person who has been, you know, they've been sexually assaulted, they've been, you know, harassed in some way. We must defend them. You can give them your defense in the sense of saying, well, if this is true, yeah, I feel very sorry for you. You know, you have a chance to legally defend yourself. Fundraise for them so they can legally defend themselves if they're not capable of doing it themselves. But the immediate reaction that our society has begun to have is, screw the concept of innocent until proven guilty for this particular class of crimes. It's almost, at this point, becoming a miniaturized spin-off of the overall social panic. Here's the problem with a moral panic. I could have warned you about this. I think I did, actually, which is kind of weird. Here's the problem. You've got a general reigning attitude of everything is offensive, everything is evidence of some Russian or Nazi conspiracy. There's no threshold that you have to achieve to show that a person's actually a white supremacist at this point. You can simply make the claim and it automatically sticks. As long as you have one thing they ever said that roundabout sort of could be kind of sort of right-wing, you can claim that they're a Nazi. If somebody has ever done business in Russia, they learned Russian in college, they went to Moscow once, they are automatically a KGB agent. It is very much like the Red Scare or the Satanic Panic. You've got the same thing going on right now with the sex abuse claims. Now, right now, 90% of these people, for some odd reason, are a bunch of neoliberals. It's almost like the left has shielded itself while constantly attempting to browbeat people outside of the neoliberal core. You know, progressives, libertarians, conservatives, whatever they happen to be, is women unfriendly. Something like the progressives, you saw this during the election with the Bernie bro stuff. Hillary Clinton or some of her proxies come out. Oh, those evil sexist Bernie bros. They don't want to. It's not the fact that he got completely shit on. It's not the fact that he was grassroots and she's a corporate machine candidate who has little in common as far as the campaign goes. It's not just she's fucking boring. No, they're sexist. That's the reason they refuse to be solidly behind her. It has nothing to do with anything except they have a Y chromosome, and they don't like the fact that she doesn't have a Y chromosome. It was the same sort of thing. It's these allegations that people claim to be self-evident, and nobody asks for any evidence. Like, nobody has asked for any real specific evidence in any of these cases. That is troublesome. It is worrisome. Again, though, the same time, we do have to be able to admit it would be beyond the pale for all of these people to be lying. It would be completely, statistically, it would be such an anomaly if all of these people, often corroborating one another, were wrong. In the case of, like, Spacey, what's it up to? How many people have claimed against Spacey now? Wasn't it another dozen people or something came out against him? Charlie Rose, it's like 8 people at the same time saying, yeah, he was just trying to sexually intimidate us. He was trying to grope us up, trying to chase us and chase us around the skirts. No, he's a pervert, basically. He's harassing us constantly. With Weinstein or Cosby, somebody like that, it's a large number of people. It's different when you get a case where it's one person. Because you could say, well, it's even odds that this person's just like trying to get money or something, like with Takei, some of these other figures. At other times, it's just, I can't bring myself to believe. I know I'm not going to judge them beforehand and say that it's anything beyond an allegation. But it's weird to me that that many people at the same exact time would coordinate together to try to screw somebody else over for fame or fortune. It just doesn't make sense. I can't imagine. You've got to understand. I think what we're seeing in some of these cases is this. Certainly with people like Franken or Conyers, people who are within, they're not only wealthy, they're also politically connected. They've got actual doctrinal public power that they can use to screw with other people's lives. They rub elbows with power systems too within the legal, like judges, like high-powered prosecutors and defenders and things. I think what we're seeing is this. Until fairly recently, it was considered easier to allege that somebody on the right had molested or intimidated you in some way, because the left spent all of its time pretending to be a movement that was concerned with women's rights and children's rights and all of these, and protecting victims. Whereas on the other side, the right was sort of linked with, oh, well, they womanize and they get drunk and they harass their secretaries, sort of the stuffy 50s-esque look of the right, at least the male right. We're now finding that it's even Stevens. You got just as much of that going on the left, but nobody wanted to talk about it, because who would have believed a couple of years ago somebody had said that some lovely women's defender, Harvey Weinstein, raising money for, like, breast cancer research or something. Oh yeah, he tried to grope me up. It would only be one person claiming it, and that person gets stomped into the ground very quickly. Al Franken, Conyers, whoever it was, Kevin Spacey, certainly. Just because there were rumors that some of these people apparently were perverted. Nobody wanted to talk about it. I wonder why. Could it be because they were rich? And could it be because they projected very well? It's sort of like, the idea. You see your pastor, your megachurch pastor. You see him snorting coke in the bathroom while getting a blowjob or something. Are you going to come out and try to tell the congregation that happened? No, nobody's going to believe you. Because they're holy. They put on airs about being anti-drug and getting BJs and stuff. You're not going to say shit because nobody is going to believe you. Then all of a sudden you get, a bunch of other people sort of making rumors about the same thing. Maybe you get a little more comfortable with it. And then you see, oh, these other megachurch pastors got taken down by such scandals. Maybe I'm sure that I can't be the only one who's noticed this strange behavior. And then, of course, things progress from there, sort of a Ted Haggart situation. And that's what happens. The left has been shielded for a while from repercussions for its own perversion by pretending to be the headhunters after the perverts. Like, oh, we will stand for women's rights. We would never shield a male within our midst that did something wrong. By the way, I'm sure that there are rapacious and perverted females within both movements too, both as in a false dichotomy, within various power structures who do the same thing. Was it Mariah Carey or one of these other people? One of their guards said, yeah, she was like being sexually intimidating, constantly trying to fuck me and stuff. I think it was. Can't remember which celebrity, actually, that they mentioned. Probably because it's not as newsworthy, because it's a female. It's not a greasy, chubby man who's doing it, so then it becomes okay. You see this with, allegations within, schools. Some young teacher is boffing students. People don't react the same way as they do if it's a male teacher. Now, I wonder why. It makes it more newsworthy, too. The idea this person is coercive in this situation. Even if according to both parties it was consensual, that is weird because it's like a teacher-student relationship. So, that's even if they're of age. You can't do that in a college. Nor should you be able to be. Because then it's like, someone's going to get an A because they put out more. This person put out less, so they got a B. That person didn't, so I'm failing them out of the course. Really wanted to sleep with them. That'd be naturally coercive, yeah, within an educational or religious structure. You see it happen all the time in churches. Again, Ted Haggart, various others, can become a problem. But I will not go myself, despite how tempting it is to chuckle about the fact that all of these people are like Democrats or liberals. They still should get their day in court. They still should not be subjected to a witch hunt style lynch mob, which is, unfortunately, they're subjecting others to that when they say, well, this person's racist. Claims of racist or bigot, they've already got enough lynch mobs for that. Now we've progressed beyond that. I think this is almost a reaction to how the left perceives the political discourse of what's going on. It's like they've created a false construct. I know they're so fond of using that general terminology. That's about all. Peace out.